This machine right here is the bandsaw. Now we're going to go through its components and the safety. Once again, steel toe boots should be worn, safety glasses should be worn, and it's used for cutting wood and wood materials. Your stance on this machine is important because you want to stay away from the cutting edge, which is the blade right here.
Okay, so we'll just go over the parts of the bandsaw. So this here's the blade tensioning knob, and if you were to open up the door on this, there would be an upper wheel and a lower wheel, which is band gets wrapped around. So this here's the tension knob. And if it was open, you would see, it would tell you if the blade is only, which this one here is 5/8, there's an actual graduation on the tension. So you put the blade on, you tighten the tension knob to the width of what the band, well, of what the blade is. So if it's 5/8, there's an actual graduation on it. It will say 5/8. Once you reach that point, boom, that's it. That's enough. Okay, so then there's also a knob right here on the side of the bandsaw as well. And this here adjusts the height of the upper and lower bearings above the material. So what you want to have, you only want to have between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch above the material that you're cutting. So you would loosen this up, bring it down, go by eye, that's close enough, and that would be the right height in order before we start cutting. Now, these machines, the wider the blade is mostly used for resawing. What that means is if the board is too wide, if the board is too thick, and you can get two pieces instead of one, instead of wasting the material, we would tip it up on its side, set the fence, and split it right down the middle. Right? And then on another bandsaw, which we see over here, this bandsaw, the blade is thinner, which is only 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch. So this one here is for cutting, making relief cuts and cutting shapes on wood. So if we wanted to put...
It's more detail oriented.
It is. So if we wanted to put a shape, a funky shape on this piece of plywood, it would be better to use the thinner blade because it would put less pressure on the blade when we cut it. And I'll show you. See how it cuts shapes? You don't have to do relief cuts. Now, if the shape that you're cutting is a lot smaller, say if it was a small circle we wanted to cut out, you would use relief cuts on the plywood and then cut it out, and when you cut it, it puts no pressure on the blade when you go to cut it. As you can see, and all the little strap pieces fall off. Now, this machine here is so versatile, you can use a miter, like we did on the table saw.
And just for safety, the blade takes about 15 to 20 seconds to stop. It's only just finished moving now. You stay at the machine until it has stopped rolling.
So you can put the miter on the bandsaw as well. If you wanted to cut a board and make it accurate, get rid of the dirt, you could do so as well. And it would be perfectly 90 degrees. So we have, like Mr. Neal said, it takes a few seconds for it to shut off. And if you also wanted to cut an angle, you go underneath the table and you would loosen these two knobs off. 1, 2, and then the table tips. You would lock it on So you get an angle finder and stick it on the table, whatever angle you needed, 30 degrees, 45, whatever angle that was, and then you do the exact same thing, and you can cut any angle off as well. But we don't need to. This here, we do all that on the miter saw. But if this is the only machine you have in your shop, you can do it to accommodate.
Goes without saying, there's our start stop button so that you can hit it with your knee to turn the machine off. And when you're finished with the machine, you should release the guard over the blade so it goes back down to cover the blade so that there is less chance of an injury for someone else.
And if, as you can see, on this machine, we don't have the locks on it yet. You can see the upper wheel, and you can see the bandsaw blade go around, and you can see the graduations right here. So right now it's a 3/8 blade. As you can see, it points to 3/8. This is the tension knob, and it's tightened up accordingly to what it's supposed to. All right. If the blade breaks, come and see Mr. Neal, and we'll show you how to change it properly. And that's all there is for the bandsaw.